Hey guys, well, this all just kind of took a turn for the worst. So I didn't film any of this, and I'll go into more detail later on when I tell you guys about everything. Yeah. So many emotions. That I'll touch base on later on. No one is prepared for a miscarriage, and it is the scariest thing I've endured in a while. So she said that there was a sac with no fetal pole. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Okay, so I first want to start out by saying I'm sorry to be posting these types of videos the end of the year. You know, it's just Christmas. I've filmed this probably 2 or 3 times already, and it just, I could never finish it. Today is December 28th, which is the same day that you're seeing me announce that yes, I was pregnant. And if you were wondering, was like you were pregnant, meaning you're not pregnant anymore, no, I am not. I guess at 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks, I did have a miscarriage. It's always emotional when I say that out loud. Ooh, not going to cry. Okay. You guys don't know this, but 2022 has been like everyone else's 2020 for me and my family. This has been one of the toughest years I've had personally. We are days away from being out of 2022, and honestly, I just want to leave all of this in 2022 and have just a completely mental break. So, getting into this, I am the type of person, I don't know if this matters, but I'm a Capricorn. There is a lot that I keep in, that I don't talk about, that I don't speak. I'm really good at faking the funk unless you absolutely really know me or you're another Capricorn. I don't really know how to say that, but I am very good at hiding anything that I'm currently going through. I feel like this is a perfect example because on the inside I am screaming. And I think because mental health has been such like a talked about issue as of, you know, it's not, I don't want to say as of late, but it's like there's just a lot about me that you guys don't know, and that most people, not even people close to me, even know. And it's not so much that I am keeping it, and I deal with things on my own and on my own time and in my own ways. I also sometimes don't deal with them at all, and it is what it is, and I just kind of move on, and it's to the back. You should not live like that. I want to say that. You should speak. You should let those feelings out. And that is one of my goals for 2023, is to just get into therapy and just start speaking to someone who isn't biased, who doesn't know my story, who doesn't know me, who I don't want to hear certain things from. When you share something with someone and they know you and they just want to make you feel better. Yeah, so I'm not really sure why I threw that in there. I just felt the need to, because I know that I have vlogged since having my miscarriage, and you might look back at it and you're like, she was perfectly fine though. But everything is not always what it seems in appearance. So I've been dealing with the guilt of it all, just feeling like it was my fault, and I'm just now coming to terms with it wasn't my fault. Like, you know, these things happen. They happen more often than not, and my feelings and my reaction to finding out that I was pregnant had nothing to do with me miscarrying. And saying that out loud, it's hard to believe it myself, because I'm a person, like, you speak things into existence. I don't fully like 100% believe not everything you speak into existence. I feel like some things are supposed to happen, and whether or not you find out that reason why is up in the air, you know. About 2 weeks after, maybe not 2 weeks, like a week and a half after finding out I was pregnant, I started discharging. And I was discharging just brown discharge, and I read that it was completely normal the first couple of days, or even maybe the first week. Once I was going into my second week of discharging, I'm like, I don't know, I kind of felt like this isn't normal. This shouldn't be happening, especially since it never happened to me before. So I couldn't get another appointment into my doctor, so it was just I just dealt with it. It wasn't a lot, and it wasn't all the time. More so kind of like after I peed and wiped, never really just, I used panty liners, never really just there. So a week and a half went by and I was still discharging, and then like the next day, it was like 5-6 o'clock, I went to use the bathroom and I peed and I was bleeding. Now there wasn't blood in my panties or my panty liner. I didn't even have discharge there, and it was quite a bit of blood. So we went to the emergency room. Me and Babe and I went to the emergency room. I had a sonogram done at the emergency room, and what they told me was, so the doctor that I seen, she was still a resident and she was not an OB/GYN resident, so she didn't fully understand what the sonographer had put in the report. She just read off of the report and said that she couldn't go into more detail because she didn't fully understand it. She knew that I had an appointment coming up the following week, like Wednesday, and she just told me to keep that appointment, get in sooner if I can. If not, keep that appointment, come back if the bleeding got any heavier. It did not. So what she read off of the report was that there was a fetal pole. There was a sac with no fetal pole, if I'm not mistaken. That's what she said. And I had no idea what that meant, and she couldn't really explain it to me, but she did say at that time, I think I was 6 weeks, and she was like, oh, it just could be that it's early and that's why we're not seeing anything. In my mind, I was like, that sounds strange, because we saw the twins and I was 6 weeks and change. And so I was like, I mean, okay. So everything in my mind just went crazy at that point. I was definitely just in a sad, I was sad. I understand my initial reaction was a lot, and that was just my initial reaction. A couple of days later, it was what it was. I was pregnant and I was going to have another baby, and that was that. Like, I was fine. We had names picked out for if it was a boy and a girl. We had already was like thinking, okay, we're gonna get like a mini crib if we're still here in this apartment. Like, we had already started discussing about it. I was fine. Again, every baby is a blessing in disguise, if you will, when it's not planned or if it's unwanted. I still was holding on hope, because in my mind I'm like, well, why would God give me this and then take it away? Like, that would be strange, right? And if everything happens for a reason, what would be the reason for this? Because I was upset that it happened. I'm like, I've been upset plenty of times and nothing like this ever happened. So I held out hope like nothing was going on. I had my appointment. I was going to a new OB, so normally the doctor is actually the one that does this sonogram on you, because I had that report and gave them everything. The sonographer, the doctor wanted the sonographer to do the initial sonogram. So I was brought into a sonography room, and she gave me this the ultrasound, and she asked, did they tell you anything at the hospital? And I told her what they told me, and she was just like, okay. And I told her, you know, I didn't know what that meant, and I told her that she said it could be because it was early, and she's like, you know, she just said okay. So from there, I was brought into the exam room. The doctor comes in. She just asks about the visit to the ER, and I explained everything to her, and I explained what they told me and everything. And she said, this far in your pregnancy, we should be able to see, the embryo. We should be able to see something in the sac, and your sac is empty. And she did state that she feels like, she felt like the pregnancy just never progressed. Nothing ever developed. Her main concern at that time was that I was having a molar pregnancy, and that because I had a lesion or a mass in my sac or around my sac, something, she wanted to, I had no choice but to get a D&C. She said normally you can either let it pass on its own, or you can take a pill to speed up the process, or you can have a D&C. She said in my case, I needed to have the D&C because they needed to make sure that, one, it wasn't a molar pregnancy, and two, because of the lesions that were there, she wanted to make sure, because sometimes in molar pregnancies, it could be cancer. And so she wanted to make sure that it wasn't cancerous, and the lesions or whatever that was there wasn't cancerous. So I'm getting all of this information. I'm being told that, yes, you had a miscarriage, or you're having a miscarriage. There's no baby. You need to have surgery, and also this could be cancer. All in one appointment. I lost it. Once I got out of there, she needed to call the doctor on call to see if he had any slots available to do my D&C that day. So I had left and went to wait in the car. Jose was outside with the boys and Aaliyah, and I knew that, and I broke down right before I got to the car, thankfully, because I don't like my kids seeing me cry. And it was just a lot of information that I took in all at once, and it was crazy. So I was called to come back inside. The surgeon on call did not have any openings. This was also around Halloween, so I opted to wait until after Halloween. So we scheduled the DNC for November 1st. I want to say 2 days after my appointment, I started bleeding. And when I tell you I started bleeding, I have never seen this much blood come out of me my entire life since I've had a period. It was insane. Nothing prepares you for having a miscarriage, passing it on your own. I was soaking through pads like every 15 minutes for the first hour. I called them back and she said that it was going to be a lot. There were a lot of blood clots. It just felt like something was coming out of me each time I had to go to the bathroom. So I did call the doctor back and let him know that I was soaking through a pad every 15 minutes. Was that normal? And she did advise me that I was starting to like pass it on my own. So yes, that was completely normal. So she said it should, you know, by the morning it should slow down. And it did slow down in the morning, and I bled for about 3 days prior to the procedure. The November 1st came and I go in to have the procedure done. My kids, everyone except for Avery, stayed home from school. Ariana watched the kids. Avery only went to school because he had a field trip that day that was already paid for, and because he had tutoring, he wouldn't have been picked up until 5 o'clock. So I figured if everything goes well, we'll have plenty of time to go and pick him up, which was the case. Now, I have never been under anesthesia, and I have always been the type where I'm afraid to go under anesthesia because I felt like I was going to be allergic to it and I wouldn't wake up, and that was that. So that was one of my biggest fears, was anesthesia. And so I think a part of me was just really stressed about that and about not seeing my children again. I don't know why. Like, if you have a fear, you know, like, you just think worst case scenario, and that is definitely one of my biggest fears. I feel like I probably am over it now since I was put under and I woke up just fine, no adverse reactions or anything. Everything went well, and I did, you know, say goodbye to my children. For me, I was saying goodbye to them as if I wasn't going to see them again, so it was even more horrible. And the same thing with Bib. So once we got to the hospital, so not sure where I left off. We spoke to the anesthesiologist, which they were originally going to put me under, but also I would have had to go on a ventilator, which they said is normal. But my advocate, I was definitely along the lines of like, oh, okay, if that's what we need to do. But Babe was just like, ventilator? Like, why are you putting her on a ventilator? Like, isn't the procedure only 30 minutes long? And the anesthesiologist that was speaking to us at that time, he was cracking jokes, and you know, it wasn't a joking matter. I get that you're probably just trying to make light of the situation, but it just wasn't a joking matter, and it was definitely a lot unprofessional. So Babe ended up speaking to the doctor again, and the doctor said he was going to send in the partner of the other anesthesiologist. So she came in, and this one was a female, so she came in and she explained everything to us, and she explained that was normal procedure. But she said in my case, she would, since we were having, you know, just the ill feeling of being put on a ventilator, she's saying they were going to give me something else that would also put me under, and then they would put something like some sort of block thing in my mouth so that I guess like I didn't choke. So and I would still breathe on my own. He was really, really good at easing our minds. He also had said right off the bat that he had seen the sonograms that were done, the ultrasounds, and that he didn't believe that it was a molar pregnancy. So I did get wheeled in to do the procedure. I said my goodbyes to Babe, and definitely very nerve-wracking. But they brought me into the operating room. They had me, I don't even know what they told me to do. I just remember like the two gentlemen, the doctor and then like another gentleman, and then like 4 ladies on the other side, including the anesthesiologist that we had met with after the male. So they put me under, everything went well, they did the procedure. I woke up in the recovery, I woke up fine. Just groggy, tired. I didn't have any breathing issues, no issues at all. My legs felt a little sore. My abdomen was sore. So they did end up giving me some ibuprofen. I'm not the type to want to take narcotics. So I was given Percocet once. I was in a car accident. I was hit from behind, and they gave me Percocets, and I ended up taking a half of one, and I hated the way that it made me feel. It was awful. I just knew I never wanted to feel that way again, and that was the last time I've ever taken like a narcotic pain medication. Like, just give me some ibuprofen, or the most I do is Tylenol codeine. Like that's it. The doctor did come back in to see us. I don't remember, but he spoke to Babe and he told him that the procedure went well. It actually only took about 15 minutes, probably because I had been passing on my own. He said that it definitely was not a molar pregnancy. It still needed to be sent to pathology. I rested for about 2 days. I couldn't drive or anything for the first 24 hours, so it took me about 2 days to just be up and like back to normal. After the procedure, I want to say probably like 3 days later, the thought that it was my fault because of the reaction had set in, and I just was not doing good at all. I want to say after the 3 days, like that next week was horrible, because you're just trying to figure out like what happened, what went wrong, and it was my fault, like just all these thoughts, and nothing makes sense. And so you can only just blame yourself. And I feel like I was like naive, or like I felt like, you know, I'm a baby maker, you know, I make babies, like things don't happen to me. And so I just had like a ball in my gut for 2 weeks, and then, you know, it kind of faded out, but then it would just come and go, and it was just like, why give it to me, then take it away, or I wasn't worthy, or I'm not a good mom and that's why he said forget it, and oh, because I was so upset. And it's just like, but then I became and then I was fine, and then it was just like, okay, well, we're doing this again. And I feel like a lot of my pregnancies were like that, because in reality, I've only had one planned pregnancy. So like it just didn't make sense. And I think that's where I'm able to now speak about it. To be completely honest, to this day, it still doesn't make sense. Like, dates are not adding up. Like, the time that it's saying, the window that I could have gotten pregnant, like my most, this is probably when you got pregnant, there's no way. And then it's like the days that you could have, you know, it's less likely, but it still could have happened. Those days are still like, yeah, I don't see, you know, my follow-up. You know, I did speak to her and she kind of just assured me that none of this was my fault, which she was great. She was so good. They actually sent me our deepest sympathies card. Just felt like it was like, I don't know, it was just a bit more personal. I don't know, I appreciated the gesture. But she did mention again that she feels like the pregnancy just, it never would have progressed. Like there was nothing ever there. This was the other part. I don't even know how I left this out, but all of my pregnancies, there's been something. Like whether it was a pregnancy symptom or just a coincidence, but there's been something. That pregnancy, I had no symptoms whatsoever. My boobs weren't tender, I wasn't nauseous, and I was nauseous through all of my pregnancies except for Avery. And I just was just, that part right there, because I didn't have any pregnancy symptoms, I think that's when my mind started agreeing with the doctor. I just wanted to mention quickly that my doctor did mention something called a blighted ovum, which is the medical terminology for what she was explaining to me. She was confused as to why it happened a little bit later on and how I was able to continue on, because it's normally something that happens like earlier on in the pregnancy, but I just felt the need to say that word because I just remembered her stating that. But there's still a part of me that kind of just blames myself, and I know that I shouldn't. I said what I said. I felt the way I felt, and I'm not going to apologize for feeling that way. They were my initial feelings. Now, another mind fuck, because it's like, wait, so do I want more kids? Do I not want more kids? Because now I feel like I want more kids, but then it's like, how can I? Like, if we have any more kids, we're gonna have to drive one of those vans that I dislike. And these are the thoughts that go through my mind. And then it's just like, I can't even tell you how many people that I've seen that I know personally that are having babies, and all the pregnancy announcements and all the people having babies. And I think it'll hit me more in June because that's when I was supposed to be due. Now I'm just like, you know, your mind tells you you want what you can't have. So now I'm just like at the point where I'm just trying to figure life out. Like I'm trying to figure my life out. Like, what do I actually want versus a fantasy or a what if, or yeah. So that's pretty much my miscarriage story. I'm not looking for sympathy or like for people to feel sorry for me. I don't need anyone to feel sorry for me. I have 6 wonderful children, and I do want to say that I didn't know how much a miscarriage affects a person, us women. I didn't understand how much it affected you until it happened to me. And I guess that's true for every situation, because you don't know how you're going to react or what you do or how it affects you unless you actually go through that. And now that I go through it, I've gone through it, and this was me not even wanting to have any more kids and me feeling the way that I feel. I'm so sorry for the women who are actively trying, who have multiple miscarriages, who just go through this. Like, I am so sorry that you have to go through this. I am so sorry that you have to feel alone in this, because those are the feelings that you feel. Your spouse, your partner, whomever may be there, but they don't particularly understand what you're feeling because it was you who this all happened to. I know it happened to the both of you, but we're the ones who carry it more. And I'm just really, really sorry. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm making this video, because I understand now. And if anyone ever needs anyone to reach out to, I'm here just to listen, just to get that frustration out, just to truly know how you may feel. And maybe I don't truly know how you may feel if you don't have any kids and you're having miscarriages, but it's okay. Everything happens for a reason. I still do believe that. And God doesn't give you more than what you can handle. So if you're going through this and it's not what you want to hear, I know, but he doesn't give you more than what you can handle. And you got this. You're going to get through this. Well, my battery just died. That is my cue that I need to leave this here. 2023 will be the year of blessings for all of us. I'm claiming it. It is going to be our year. Thank you guys so much for watching. And